An American performance artist, comedian and writer who was attacked on a Melbourne tram 6 years ago is set to take to the stage at the Sydney's Festival of Dangerous Ideas this weekend. Alok will use the performance to directly address the man who physically attacked them.
Some stranger punched me in the face. No one on the tram did anything. And he said, "I'm okay with gay people, but you're too much." It's my first time coming to Australia since that, and that's why I wanted to come back.
Please welcome Alok. Welcome. I understand you've only really just got off a plane, so we really appreciate you coming into the
first
studio.
look here. Actually, this is how I woke up.
Are you able to tell us about that moment 6 years ago and what happened to you?
Yeah, totally. So it was an afternoon on a beautiful October day, and I took the tram as one might, and the train lurched, and so I fell on this random guy, and I said, "I'm sorry," as one might. And then I walked into the center of the train, and the next thing I know, he came up to me and he punched me in the face. And he said, "I'm okay with gay people, but you're too much." And it was a really intense moment for me because it was the middle of the day, I was in public, and these things aren't supposed to happen, and yet they did. I had just given a keynote speech and received a standing ovation, and it was hard for my brain to compute how in one place I was safe and admired, and in the next I was attacked.
So it must be, I'm really sorry that that happened to you, particularly in our wonderful country that we like to imagine is far more welcoming than that. It must be a huge moment for you to come back and take to the stage, but not only that, you're going to directly address this fellow that attacked you. Why?
As part of my healing journey, forgiveness is key. I love myself so much that I have no room in me for toxicity. My body and my heart are a sanctuary for peace, love, and expansion. And what I realized is that people commit violence because they've done violence to themselves first. That actually this was his cry for help, that he didn't know who he was. And when he was confronted with my clarity and conviction, that couldn't compute for him because he didn't know that it was possible to be this free. And so the reason I wanted to give this speech is because I love him and I love the people who hate trans people more than they could ever hate us. And I want them to understand that for centuries, they've tried to disappear us, but we keep coming back even more fabulous than ever.
That's an extraordinary viewpoint to hold. You're performing at the Festival of Dangerous Ideas this weekend. Can you explain to us how talking about humanity and forgiveness are dangerous ideas?
You know, there's a fellow comic named Lana Del Rey, you might have heard of her. And she has a song where she sings, "Hope is a dangerous thing for a woman like me to have, but I have it." And I agree, I have it. I think hope and humanity are dangerous because they're vulnerable, because we hope that things will be better and then sometimes it isn't. And I think it's easier to not try. It's easier to decorate the unfreedom than it is to try to get free. But what I've learned in my life is that there's nothing more beautiful and poignant than trying. I love people who try.
You speak so beautifully, and you speak on these big ideas and these big issues, but you also walk the line between speaking about serious issues and comedy. As a stand-up comedian, how important do you think comedy is for this conversation?
Well, you know, I think it's time that we protect jokes from men in pants. Because
Yes.
I just started to watch some of this comedy stuff, and it feels like they're trying to masquerade their misogyny as comedy.
Have you been watching Susie?
So I had to enter in the ring, and I had to show people that it's not funny to make fun of trans people for existing. What's funny is how much time, energy, and money you put into making up the gender binary. Mm-hmm. And I also feel like right now, people only define trans people as hypersensitive, like we can't take the joke. We're just curmudgeonly social justice warriors. When in my experience, when you spend your entire life being the butt of the joke, you learn how to tell a good joke. And I wanted to show people that actually we are capable of joy, that actually, amidst all of the discrimination and violence, there's also so much fun to be had. And the best feedback I'm getting from the show is queer people coming up to me after the show and saying, I've never been to a comedy show where I could relax, where I didn't think that I was going to be getting made fun of, and I didn't realize how much I needed to laugh.
Oh, wow. So you've toured all over the world and now you're here in Australia. What can we expect here?
Expect the unexpected. I like to think that I'm an iconoclast. I try to weave in poetry and comedy, sorrow and joy, because it's non-binary, it's honest. We think that sorrow and joy have to exist in separate planes, but that's not how we experience grief. Sometimes we giggle during inappropriate times, and sometimes we feel so much sadness in places of mirth. And in my show, I wanted to be honest to what we live as humans. We're far more enormous and tremendous than any binary allows us.
Hear, hear. If you want to catch the iconoclast Alok live, head to our website for all of the details, and please thank Alok.